This happened when I was like 16 and in my heavy gaming phase, still living with my parents. I played a lot of Call of Duty in my room on my computer, in those days especially in the summertime when it's so unbearably hot outside, and I preferred to stay inside in the air conditioning. Anyway, when I lived at home, I'd have the place to myself a lot because my parents travel a lot, and I was the last one to move out. If I recall correctly, this was on a Friday night or a night that the school was out the next day, because I was staying up late. After I got home from school, I submitted a paper that was due that night to get it over with. Then I had to do some shopping afterwards on my mom's orders, since they'd be gone for a while. It was how I earned my keep in the house. According to my dad, they left cash for me to use. I always had to show them the receipt, though, so that I wouldn't just pocket any of the money. My mom gave me a shopping list, so I went to Whole Foods in my old Camry. My first car shopping took about an hour. While in the grocery store, this guy behind me started talking to me, and I don't know why. He made a comment about one of the things I was buying, and just wouldn't stop, even as I was bagging my groceries. He kept talking to me, which I found weird. He wasn't paying attention to anyone else. I was still nice, though when it was time to leave, I said, "Have a good one," and left. I went out to my car in the parking lot and packed the trunk, then headed home. It was a scorching hot day, as we were in early June. I wasn't looking to go out and do anything outside once I was done with everything I needed to do. It was dark out by now, so I got right on Call of Duty Black Ops on my computer and texted my friend Casey to get on. As well, he enjoyed my party, and we played some team deathmatch as we always did. I was using my noise-cancelling Logitech headset. We were committed already to playing Call of Duty online and ranking up, so of course I needed to take a break to make dinner. At some point, probably 2 hours into playing, I told Casey I was going to eat dinner and I'd probably be back on in an hour. He said he'd be back on later too, so with that I took a break and made some pasta for dinner. The kitchen is downstairs and my room is upstairs. While I was sitting in the kitchen eating, I knew for sure I heard a thump from upstairs. Did it sound like a footstep? I wasn't sure. It could have been any number of things, but the last thing I'd imagined it would be footstep. I did, however, go and lock the front door now. Oftentimes for a while I would leave the door unlocked, just because my parents' house is in a good side of town, and I just never took the idea of a break-in seriously. It's something you hear about on the news but don't think it'll ever happen to you. I went upstairs and I don't know what I was expecting, but I said my brother Chris's name into the hallway. I knew he wasn't supposed to be here, but I don't know. I heard a sound and I felt the urge to see if anyone was here. When no one answered back, I went back to my room and got back on Call of Duty. I put my headset back on and texted Casey that I'm going back on. Shortly after we came back on, we started playing Team Deathmatch again. A couple of games in, I looked to my left at the doorway of my room into the hallway. I don't know if something in my peripheral vision or some other sense felt something there, but I would leave the door open when I was home alone, as my mom would tell me to. The hallway was dark except for the one little night light plugged into an outlet. My room shone blue from my wall lights. Some of the blue poured into the part of the hallway closest to my room. In between the crack of the door was total blackness. I couldn't see through it. I didn't think anything of it. After our next game, Casey said he was taking a leak and walked away. I looked at my phone, then looked back out to the hallway, and I noticed something was different now. I could see through the crack of the door into the hallway. My first thought was someone blocking it just minutes ago. By instinct, I spun my chair around to face the bed behind me, and there was a man sitting on my bed with his freakishly upright posture and his hands resting on his legs. He almost looked to be smiling. I was so alarmed. I jumped out of my seat onto the desk and crawled onto the desk, causing my monitor and basically everything else to fall off it. I screamed, "What do you want?" And he started to actually smile now, showing his teeth like he was laughing. I ran out of the room into the hallway. I stopped half down the hallway and looked back at my bedroom door. I heard the springs of my bed lifting, and then the guy slowly walked into the doorway and stopped. He stood there. I once again yelled, "What do you want?" He then spoke in his stuttered, slow voice, asking if he could play too. I asked, "How did you get in here?" He stepped a few steps forward and pointed down the stairs. I assumed he was implying. He entered through the front door. I was at a loss for what to do, so I ran down the stairs to the landline phone, as my cell phone was still in my room. I grabbed the phone and a kitchen knife and screamed, "You need to leave now. I'm calling 911." I heard footsteps walking down the steps, and the last time I saw the guy was when he walked past the kitchen, looked at me, and then I heard him walking out the front door. I ran to slam it, shock and lock it for the first time ever. I was ashamed at myself for leaving the door completely unlocked. I held the phone for a few minutes, deciding whether to tell my parents. Ultimately, I did. My mom was concerned at first, then grew livid so much, so to the point that she put my dad on the phone. He told me to go through the house and make sure nothing was taken. I went through every room, and honestly everything seemed in place. I said the man seemed like something was off about him, and my dad said yeah. The man didn't seem overly hostile, but something was wrong with him, and I don't know what. His intention was the image of him sitting on my bed, and the realization that he was watching me through the crack in the door was haunting enough.